Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Sagittarius energy, and we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because it is a general reading, and people are at different kind of emotional maturity levels in their life. You can be the same age, but you can definitely be kind of more immature or more mature than other people. Sagittarius is fire sign energy. In high vibe, it's about higher learning and education, and some people are motivated and inspired to kind of wrap their brain around this game of life. Shadowy Sagittarius can represent our more immature, fearful, codependent, envious, jealous, shadowy energy within ourselves. And some people don't like those kind of things manipulating them or being in relationships with other people who are like that. And it's hard to work through because we can love people and have love for them, and we're these emotionally complex human beings where we can have kind of contradictory thoughts and feelings towards people. But high vibe people kind of are inspired to want to get to the truth of it and deal with the truth of it, and willing to maybe grow and heal and mature themselves and work together with people cooperatively. Love is supposed to be where you are just and fair and you treat other people the way you like to be treated. And some people's idea of the dream relationship is that where they don't have to do that, but you be that way, but they don't have to be that way. And maybe in your Sagittarius fire sign energy, because you love them or you're attracted to them or whatever, or you want that job, you'll kind of keep indulging people in their poor behavior. And there comes a time when people have wrapped their brain around it. And it's like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I have the choice of who I invest my time, energy, and effort into. And I can't change people. I can't motivate and inspire other people to be motivated and inspired to grow up or have hope and faith and belief in themselves or others or love or put in work and effort or grow and heal and mature themselves. I'm going to go invest my time, energy, and effort into the people who seem to be on the same page and have learned some of the same lessons in life that I've learned. So I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Page of Swords, which a Page of Swords can represent all three of the air sign energies, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And sometimes we do get in these more mismatched relationships where some people's truth, Gemini talks about our dualistic nature of free will. We can align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature and try to build relationships based on truth and love. But people have the free will to not choose that and want to build and be in relationships for reasons other than being just and fair and loving. Lust, greed, pride, ego, codependency, fear, ego image. So we can harness our air sign energy differently. So Gemini is about our dualistic nature, free will. Libra is about what we think is just and fair. And Aquarius energy is kind of what our dreams are and our idea of the dream life. And some people's truth is they are more about themselves or their ego or their image or being indulged and being more about themselves. And they think that's just and fair. And their idea of the ideal dream relationship is to get in relationships with people who maybe don't act like they act, but offer them love and encouragement, hoping one day they'll change, but they have no intention of changing. But if they can get someone to keep being loving and encouraging and supportive of them, and they get to be immature and whatever way of being, or stay in the relationship for whatever their reasons are, but not truth and love and justice and fairness, and that works for them, as long as people are willing to indulge them in their immature nature. And some people are doing that right now, and other people are like, I have my hopeful, believing, loving nature, and I'm not going to stay in relationships with people who abuse like my inner child nature. And then at the end of the story, we have the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords is Aquarius energy. We have these dreams. In shadow, the Seven of Swords is people who are being deceptive and manipulative, living more from their mind than their heart, hoping other people don't listen to their intuition and will keep indulging them. And other people have seen the truth about people like that. They're no longer as naive and gullible as they used to be. The truth sets us free. And they saw the truth. They saw through the illusion. I can get to know people in the Page of Swords. I can communicate with people. The pages can be these small gestures to get to know people, to work together with people. They have the free will to either work together with me cooperatively in that way or not. And I'm not going to stay up in my head about it if someone shows me that's not their truth. In the Five of Swords here at the end, can I find that confusing? Yeah. The difference between the One Sword and the Five of Swords is the Four of Swords, which is Libra energy. Why don't people work together with people more cooperatively in a just and fair way? Well, I don't have to figure that out. And I don't have to understand why they do what they do. I just need to accept the truth that they seem to have mental conflict about working together with people in a more just and fair way. And I listen to my intuition and the truth that I have been in relationships with people who are like that. And I wish them peace. And I keep focused on listening to my intuition, moving forward, moving away from those people, and investing my time and energy and effort into people who do work together with me more cooperatively in a more authentic, just and fair way. And then, the more you do that with people, it can confuse some people because generally it could take a long time because people who are like authentic and want to work together with people cooperatively, a lot of times there are people who put a lot of work and effort to try to make a relationship work. I don't understand why they're acting this way. Well, I'm going to keep being loving and encouraging and supportive. I'm sure the Fives can talk about change. I'm sure they're motivated and inspired to work together with people cooperatively and love too, aren't they? But we have to see the truth. Everybody has free will. And for some people, no. If I can't be manipulative, immature, bossy, controlling, more about myself, that's how I operate. That is my way of operating in the world. Usually it takes people a long time before they give up. They don't want to see the truth about shadowy people. And other people do see the truth and they just like, oh, all right, thanks for showing me the truth. Have a good day. I'm moving on. And then they're like confused, like, how did they so quickly maybe see the truth about who I was? It's like, because I've already dealt with people who are like that. If you act kind of bossy or snooty or uncooperative and defensive, that shows me right there that, because otherwise people are kind of open, like, oh, maybe I didn't understand something. Oh, I didn't realize I was supposed to, say it's at work. I didn't realize that was the procedure or something, and they're, but you have to get out of your pride and ego and your defensiveness to be able to work together with people like that. And some people really have a problem with that. So, what could be going on in Sagittarius energy right now? We start out with a card not showing itself. And the reason it came out is because of the Eight of Swords, which is Gemini energy. And in Gemini energy, it's air sign energy of the mind, but it has to do with love and creativity and manifestation. And, we can want to manifest with other people, be in relationships with other people. We can kind of get up in our head about different people in our life. And other people could kind of be up in their head about you or other people. And then when we are in relationships with people, we really don't know kind of maybe what their truth is in their Gemini energy. And they don't know what kind of drives and motivates us. And people could be, they have their truth and they have kind of how they want to live their life and wondering if you're on the same page or if you're not. And it's kind of like maybe trying to figure out if we harness this energy in the same way. And with some people, we'll come to find out we do. good or bad, or high vibe or low vibe. And other people will find out that, oh, we harness this energy differently. The Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles is Taurus energy, earth sign energy. The sevens, I kind of view the sevens as kind of that tipping point. Are we a little bit more in favor of being about ourselves or caught up in these things of the world? The ego, the image, the indulgence, ourself? Or are we more tipped in favor of love and working together with people cooperatively, right? And we can have people in our life who, again, it can confuse us, like, why do they act that way? You know, and just like if you're a person who's more hopeful and believing in love and justice and fairness and character and integrity, there could be people who want to invest in a relationship with you, and they could think it would look really good by worldly standards. Why aren't you willing to be in a relationship with me? Because Taurus energy can represent like stability and security, and we have Aquarius energy out here that can represent things looking successful and victorious in the world. Like, why aren't you willing to be in a relationship with me? And it's like, because I don't want to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship more for the stability or the security or the status or the ego or the image. And the people who that is their truth, they can't relate to what, they can't wrap their brain. This makes logical, practical sense. This would seem just and fair. And you want to be in a relationship, I want to be in a relationship. Or like a job, why aren't you working here? You could work here. I don't know if I want to work with you. Or there. And it's like, and they can't understand why. Because it seems to have all these things of the world, which is what kind of ultimately drives more and motivates them. And they can't understand why you're not willing to maybe be in jobs, friendships, or relationships and stay in them for those reasons that they would stay in a relationship, right? And, high vibe people are listening to their intuition. They want to invest in people who are more motivated and inspired by truth and love. Some people could be in a mental prison about that because they know that's not their truth, and they know they didn't maybe invest in you in that way before. They want to be in a relationship. They could be trying to figure out who is more on the same page as them, and if they're currently in relationships with the people in their life, are those people more motivated by those things or not? So then we have the Knight of Swords and the Page of Cups. And the reason is because of the Three of Pentacles. So the way I read tarot is the masculine cards can kind of represent how we're maybe presenting ourselves in the world, action that we're taking in our life, and the feminine figures, which this one looks like a feminine figure. Emotionally, we can kind of be up in our head about stuff, and the Page of Swords is a feminine figure. The Seven of Wands is a feminine figure. It's kind of hard to tell in the Magician and the Seven of Swords, so they could be a mix of both. But the masculine cards, again, doesn't have to be male or female. It's just what action people are taking in their life. And right now, there could be different people in the world with this masculine card, a Seven of Pentacles, not showing itself, that aren't taking action on some things because they're still trying to figure out, maybe what they want to do, if the people in their life that they are currently working with, if those people are on the same page as them or not. Also, what this can mean, though, is they can be investing and doing some work mentally to kind of work through being stuck. Because the Seven of Pentacles can talk about being careful about who and what you invest your time, energy, and effort into, and also trying to get clear about what your truth is. Like, well, what is my philosophy of life, and what kind of job and friendship and relationships do I want to be in? What do I think is important in a relationship? What do they think is important in a relationship? Why would I take that job or get in that relationship? Why would those people work with me or invest in me? What drives and motivates them? And so going from the 8 down to the 1 sword is working through that 7 of swords, which is that mental confusion. Some people do it. It's hard work because we can have all these different things in our head, kind of like, well, I think this is just and fair. They think that's just and fair. This one would have these perks and benefits. This would have those perks and benefits. In some ways, this would seem like a dream come true. In some ways, that would seem like a dream come true. These are things I love. This is things they love. You know, just trying to get clear about what your truth is. And some people did that work to get to the truth. They saw the truth in the Knight of Swords. I need to offer love to myself. The 3 of Wands can be just my own worldly foundation of self, because I might have inner conflict between what my truth is. Because in order to close out maybe a cycle and move forward in something new, you have to close out an old cycle. You have to work through all that mental conflict to get to the truth of the Page of Swords. What is my truth? And so some people realize the truth. I have my dualistic nature. I have my more worldly nature and things that drive me in my worldly nature. I have my more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and those things kind of drive me to want to do things. And I could be conflicted in those last 2 of Swords. What, kind of takes, which one am I more tipped into? Because I have to pick a path. Some people, we have this dualistic nature. I'm either more about me and these things of the world and the ego and the image and looking like a shining star, or having it more about me, or I'm more about tipped in favor of love. And so some people, maybe instead of investing in some other people in a way, because in order to get to the truth, in the Magician card, it's Gemini and Virgo energy. And Virgo energy is about doing that inner work within yourself. I need to look, I don't want to keep staying stuck. I don't want to keep, I want to see what kind of manipulates me. What within my own worldly nature, my codependent nature, my lust, my greed, my pride, my ego. What about people in my life? The world at large? How do all these things manipulate me? What is my truth? And what outside influences? I want to live my authentic life, and I want to live my authentic truth. I don't want to get involved in things and repeat some old pattern, because we'll keep repeating an old pattern until we've learned the lesson we were meant to learn from it. And Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. I have got to wrap my brain around this and get to the truth. So they see the truth. I need to offer love to myself. Step 1. I need to offer love to my own worldly nature of self, to get more balance within myself, have hope and faith and belief in myself, get out of my ego nature, get out of being more caught up in my fear or my insecurity or my codependency or whatever. And I have to get more inspired in the 7 of Wands. Again, the 7s are kind of a tipping point. In the 7 of Pentacles, we could have been a little bit more influenced by these things of the world that we wanted to manifest. And the 7 of Wands can be aligning with our more creative, inspired, intuitive, hopeful, believing, loving nature. And part of that process is getting out of our more egoic nature, getting more balanced within ourselves, being inspired to have some hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams and in love. And but we have to deal with the truth. And then it can maybe be, if we take our ego out of it, I can want things that I want to have work out the way I want, but I have to deal with the truth. And High Vibe Virgo, and like the Page of Swords and all that, and Gemini, and, you know, the Three of Pentacles can be, I do want to work together with people. Well, if I wanted to work together with people, I could probably go get a new job, a new friend, or a new relationship if I wanted to. If that was just my truth, I just want to be in a relationship, I could probably go get in a relationship. Yeah, there's all sorts of people. Hey, you want to hang out? Sure. You know, I could take in the Page of Cups a little more immature action if I wanted, right? And I could get in a relationship. I could harness my Leo energy in a shadowy way, and I could operate more from pride and ego. Look at me, look, I got a new job, I got a new friend, I got a new relationship. Look what I manifested. But it can be more out of pride and ego and fear and insecurity and codependency. And it's kind of like, I can deceive myself. I can tell myself that's the answer to my problems. That'll make me feel better. Or I'll go invest in some of these things of the world. I'm sure that's the truth. I'll go eat this, drink that, go do this, go do that. I'm sure that's the answer to my problems. I don't want to work through this mental conflict. I have an idea. I'm going to go do this instead. And we have the free will to take action more out of pride and ego and fear and insecurity. And in shadowy Gemini Virgo, we choose to look to the world or things in the world or people in the world or whatever to be the answer to our problems. But we still haven't dealt with the truth of what the issue is. And we've all repeated past patterns thinking we know best, and pride comes before the fall, right? So we've all repeated patterns. We've all went and indulged in things thinking, oh, I'm sure that's going to make me happy. Oh, I'm sure if I date this person or whatever, that'll be the answer to my problems. You know, we go through all these life experiences over and over and over, and we keep wondering, you know, why things don't seem to be what we thought they were going to be. And part of it is because we have mental conflict about the truth. And high vibe energy is where, you know, we either stay in a page energy where it can just be more codependent energy. We were children at one time. We were in relationships with people in our life who hopefully provided love and encouragement and some stability and security in our life. And sometimes we go out in the world, maybe for the next, all of our life, or a big chunk of our life after we're not children anymore, still looking for other people in the world to play that role in our life, to love us, like looking for someone to be a substitute mom or dad in our life, right? But the problem is we're not children anymore. But there's a lot of people in the world that love that. Oh, you're looking for someone to love you? Yeah, I'll get in a relationship with you. But it could be that they also are operating more from their codependent energy and operating more motivated and inspired to be in a relationship and manifest these things in the world. But everybody's kind of operating from their more immature codependent energy. And then wondering why, you know, there's a problem in it. And part of it is because if we haven't really learned to love ourselves, we can push away people who are trying to love us because we kind of reject ourselves. We don't even know if we love us. Why in the hell do you love me? No, you're wrong. You shouldn't love me. I don't even love me. Can you be a very loving person and be in that energy? Yeah, you can be very loving to other people. But no, you can't love me. And if I do have people in my life who love me and want to work together with me and be loving and encouraging to me. It's like, no, you need to go. No, I chase after people, that shadowy Sagittarius. I chase after people who really don't really love me. I tried to change them. The fives talk about change. I don't want to have to deal with my fears and my insecurities and my self-limiting beliefs. I try to get in relationships with people where I do seem more like the loving and encouraging person, which again, you can be a loving and encouraging person. But they're the ones who need to work through their issues to, that's where it's a little bit of us being in our ego, you know? I don't do some of the things you do. I've worked through some of the issues that you haven't worked through yet. But I want to be in a relationship with you, and then I want you to work through those issues. Versus if we got in a relationship with someone who's more on the same page as us, then we're both being loving and encouraging to each other to work through our fears and our insecurities together, to keep moving forward, having hope and faith and belief in ourselves. And we can do that in some friendships and relationships, and it can work for a long time, but then we can get to kind of this core truth of how we really view the world ultimately. And so we can be in relationships with people where we're loving and encouraging and supportive of each other. But then the next thing to deal with, because there's a lot of things to work through in a relationship. Well, I'm kind of motivated and inspired by this truth. Oh, well, I'm kind of motivated and inspired by that truth. And, oh, I'm kind of motivated and inspired to invest my time, energy, and effort into these things. Oh, well, I'm kind of more motivated and inspired to invest my time and energy in these things. You know, we've kind of got to work through all those things, and we can be in friendships and relationships or at a job for a really long time. But then it might get down to this core foundational truth of how we ultimately, it's always this negotiation. And the fives and the sevens are these periods of kind of negotiation. How do I want to move forward? How do I envision things moving forward? How do they envision things moving forward? Are we on the same page? Are we not on the same page? Do I have hope and faith and belief in myself? Do they? Do we both have hope and faith and belief in love? Or is one person a little bit more about the world or a little bit more about themselves? And, it keeps taking being inspired, fire sign energy of the Seven of Wands, to want to keep putting in that work and effort, to keep peeling back layers of issues within ourselves that kind of manipulate us, and how our pride and ego and our fear and our insecurity and our lust and our greed and wanting to be just more about ourselves and other people in our life and the world, are we willing to peel back another layer? And part of that can get to be, am I willing to, let a more emotionally vulnerable nature of myself, an aspect of myself, out to play in the world? Or do I have fear of doing that? And sometimes that is the next step, to be inspired, to get out of our more egoic nature and work through some of those fears and insecurities we have about being more vulnerable and authentic in a relationship. And some people are like, you can go. I'm going to go back and do this. So again, we'll repeat a pattern. And we'll quit investing in one thing. We might want to, if we had people in our life that were loving and encouraging and supportive, same way if we had a job where people were being loving and encouraging and supportive, and they felt like, no, I really think you can do this next thing. You've kind of learned these things. We'll work together with you. And it's like, I think you go, I'll go find a different job, right? Because don't feel comfortable yet, right? You might think I'm ready, but I might not think I'm ready, and I might get up in my head about it. So then, we might kind of try to hide of why that didn't really work out, right? And the same thing can kind of happen in relationships. Well, why didn't you move forward with those people? They seem to be willing to work together with you. They seem to be loving and encouraging. I was like, I get too much up in my head, or maybe I have a little fear of believing in myself or trusting other people. And I don't know if that's how I want to move forward, but of course I might not. The truth is the best thing. I don't know what's so wrong with telling people that, but some people don't want to anyway, right? And some people were more immature, and they do kind of maybe when they get kind of up in their head, and they maybe could take some kind of more immature action because they could be fearful maybe that other people are being deceptive or manipulative, and then they do something that is kind of immature, and other people find out. Or they could even be, we're moving forward in a relationship. Well, now that I've got you moving forward in a relationship with me, maybe now I'll try to see if I can kind of shadowy Leo, see if I can manipulate you. And if it will confuse you, and, oh God, that's hard to understand, right? But, it's like some people trying to find out, like, well, what if I do this? Are you going to keep moving forward with me? What if I do this? What if I don't do that? And I just think that is sign in itself is shadowy, because people who are inspired and motivated by love, they're not testing people to see what they can get away with. They offer love and encouragement to work together with people. And some people who are used to having people who do that in their life, and they're kind of used to doing that, if they're moving forward with someone who doesn't do that, it's kind of like, oh, I know you're going to do it sooner or later. That's how people operate in the world. And some people could have mental conflict in believing that someone is who they really say they are. And partly the reason why they could have a problem believing people are who they say they are is because they know they're not being authentic. Shadowy energy can be where you try to create an illusion, living more from your mind than your heart, not really acting out of character and integrity and truth. I'm going to create this illusion about the type of person I am so people will work together with me. But they know they're not. They're just kind of creating an illusion. Those are the people, I would say, who are most worried about. I mean, if you've been deceived and manipulated by people who wear a good false mask, you can be a little leery too. But you at least know that when you are working together with people, you are being authentic. But the people who have the most fear are the people who know that they weren't kind of being honest from the beginning. That they could have even gotten in a relationship for these various reasons, trying to manipulate someone else. Is that person bothered? Look, I went and got in this new relationship. Look, I'm moving forward in something new. That's like shadowy energy. Look. Am I manipulating you? Are you bothered? Are you going to come do the relationship now the way I want you to do it? Trying to mislead people about the truth of who they are, get in a relationship with people, and then maybe thinking, now I can go back to who I really am, and I'll be immature and more about myself and deceptive and manipulative and play all these games with people and hope that they'll just stay confused and put in this work and effort to make it work. And some high vibe people are like, yeah, no, I've seen the truth of who you are. I see the foundation you operate from. I did this work within myself to see through the illusion of who I thought you were, and I see the truth. That's not the truth of who you are. And I've learned a valuable lesson from this whole life experience, because it's kind of like God wants to give us our divine inheritance, but so long as we don't want to deal with the truth, if God were to give us our divine inheritance, shadowy, manipulative, blah, blah, blah type of people could like steal it away from us because we haven't learned to stand up for ourselves, to believe in ourselves, to accept the truth when people show us the truth of who they are, and to keep our distance from those people. You can still be kind of manipulated in your more worldly, egoic, or your loving nature because high vibe energy is being inspired by truth, that things have to be just and fair. People are supposed to, high vibe Leo, be authentic, be in that more hopeful, believing nature of the Page of Cups and the Page of Swords, acting from truth and love. High vibe Capricorn, free of their shadowy devil nature and more shadowy nature, to be more inspired by truth and love. And then we listen to our intuition about the different people in our life. And when people show us that's not their truth, we listen to our intuition because our intuition was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world because of the fact that people can present themselves in the world and try to play on our loving nature, play on our, tempt us in our more worldly nature of these things that we want. Well, we were given our gift of intuition that tells us to run away from those people, keep your distance. But sometimes in our pride and ego, it's like, oh no, 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 God. Oh no, I think I can change them. It's like, and God's like, I've been working with them all their life, but having more loving and encouraging people in their life is okay. Getting in a more involved relationship with them, well, you might be deceiving yourself and you might have some lessons to learn that will be beneficial for you. And then you get in those relationships and you kind of realize their truth is different than my truth, what drives and motivates them, and the ego and the image or the money or the false mask. I'm going to take all those lessons with me moving forward. I've learned a lot of valuable lessons, and part of it was for me to learn to love and believe in myself, to realize I can't change other people, but I can change me. And I can look at what it was about me that made me get into and stay in those certain types of jobs, friendships, and relationships. How I need to be more balanced within myself, and I need to work through some of my own past pain, heartbreak, fears, and insecurities. Learn the lessons I was meant to learn from those life experiences so I don't have to get in a relationship with someone like that again to get me to see the truth. The truth is, people have free will. And there are people in the world that do not want to do love, do not want to be just and fair, do not want to grow up and mature themselves, don't want to work through their own fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs. That the truth is, some people are just more about themselves, and it's all about them. Getting in the relationship, being in the relationship, so long as it works for their ego and their image, and someone is kind of indulging them and buying into the illusion of who they present themselves as being, that works for them. They'll keep moving forward in it. Until you listen to your intuition that I don't think this person is really working together with me, authentically being motivated and inspired by love. I think they're kind of defensive to love authentically. I think it's their ego nature kind of running their life. And their more authentic nature might look out through the eyeballs, but their more authentic nature never comes out to play in the world. And if I'm being open and authentic and loving and encouraging and authentic, I want to be in a relationship with someone else who is. And if they want to keep living more from their mind than their heart, yeah, when they start to see that people are starting to see through the illusion, then they don't want to be in it anymore, might do things to try to get you to leave. But they're going to be deceptive and manipulative about why it ended, because what they have to get people to get in a relationship with them is more their image or their status or their looks or their charm or their money or power or influence, because it's not really love. So they'll want other people to not view you and maybe get in another relationship to look like, see, it wasn't me, it couldn't have been me. Well, some of these people just get in relationships to use people for their own selfish purposes, to try to deceive and manipulate people in the world and try to get other people who they know could have love for them to try to get them to do the relationship the way they want. And some high vibe people said no. If you want to go deceive and manipulate someone else, go ahead. But that's not my truth, and I'm moving on. And then some of those people, again, feel a little stuck. It's like, do I want to keep moving forward? As basically, with some of these people, I was just using them to try to manipulate that person. Well, now that person left. Do I want to stay in this or not? Is this person willing to keep... Are they bought into the illusion of who I am? Are they willing to keep moving forward in a deception? But, the problem is, even shadowy people like to be in relationships with people who are authentic and loving and encouraging. And, if they've found another loving and encouraging person who doesn't know the truth of who they are, this pattern will play out again until the other person starts to see it. Or they might get in a relationship with someone who's more like themselves, but then they kind of don't like being in a relationship with someone who's more like themselves, because that person isn't really loving, authentic, and encouraging. To a degree, can be loving and encouraging for so long as it works for them and it's good for the ego and image. And then that keeps them up in their head like, well, gee, I want this, but I want to be this type of person. And when I get in relationships with people who maybe make their life more about these things of the world that I make my life about, or just more about me, well, I kind of think the reason they stay in it isn't really love. And then it's confusing for them, but they can keep not wanting to see the truth. And some people just kind of go back and forth. I can't decide what my truth is. And so then I go hang out and try to be in relationships with more loving, encouraging people. I like that, but eventually they see through the illusion, or I see other people kind of indulging more in these things of the world, or being immature players or something, and I kind of want to be more indulged, and these people require me to maintain a certain balance, and I don't like that. So then they leave that, they just constantly go back and forth. So listen to your intuition about the different people in your life. If you know some people who you think kind of more like to indulge themselves in a relationship, kind of more about themselves, kind of more caught up in ego and image. People, if you know them well enough that they have a lot of things that manipulate them, that you came to realize over time between their own fear, insecurity, how their ego or the world or other people and their competitive nature and their envy and their jealousy or whatever manipulates them. Accept the truth of it. The people in your life who are investing in you, who are working together with you, and together you're working together, being loving and encouraging and supportive of you and each other, and those are people you can keep moving forward with, and your intuition tells you to keep taking action in truth and love. And if the people in your life keep taking action with you in truth and love and justice and fairness, believe that the divine has a plan for your life. If we plant good seeds, we're going to reap a good harvest. If we take action more out of fear, insecurity, pride, ego, lust, greed, we're going to reap what we reap in that way. And if you've kind of already been there and done that and you didn't care for it, you're ready. And some people are ready. They've healed. The Five of Swords comes after the Four of Swords. After reflecting on the truth and doing this inner work within yourself, which takes time, then when you're ready to take action on your truth, you will move forward listening to your intuition as you go, not willing to give up your dreams. And there can be other people that are confused about how you do that because they don't really ever do that inner work to change. It's just like putting on a new fresh coat of paint, go get a new job, get a new friend, get in a new relationship to make it look like they've changed, but they're really didn't learn anything from the last phase of life and they're just doing the same old thing the next time. And then when that maybe doesn't work out the way they thought it should, they don't want to see why it didn't work out. And so then, you know, just kind of keep doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different outcome, which is the definition of insanity. You know, and some people don't, some people in more shadowy energy, they are kind of full of themselves. And since they indulge their more immature nature and they don't want to see the truth of it, they can't understand because that is their truth. Well, that could just be very egotistical and self centered. I think it should be more about me. And I don't understand why other people don't want to make it just more about me. But if you're going to work together with other people, they have their hopes and dreams and aspirations and their own unique talent, skills, and interests. And you have yours, and you're supposed to work together, be loving and encouraging and supportive of each other from love. And some people are like, what? No, it's supposed to be more about me. And until they're willing to see the truth that they think it should be more about them, you know, they're going to keep operating from that foundation that might be buried beneath the surface that they don't want to see the truth of. And they'll just go off and try to deceive and manipulate some other people about the truth of who they are until those people see the truth. What's coming up for some people that are in high vibe energy that they don't see coming? The Three of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Fool card. So the Fool card is going on this new journey to learn lessons. You completed a cycle because you came out in high vibe with the Page of Swords. You worked through the mental confusion. From the One Sword to the Seven of Swords, you took back the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords was something that at one time you had been moving forward with, a way of living life, a way of viewing life, your idea of the dream life, people in your life that you thought you were going to have a dream come into reality, and you've seen the truth that you can't have your dream come into reality with them because their truth is different than your truth. What drives and motivates them is different than what drives and motivates you. And yours is from love. That there's more to this world than just making my life about these things of the world, you know? High vibe, abundant energy is being independent, where we do have some of these things of the world, needless because we live in the world. We all want stability and security, and we'd all like to enjoy some of the finer things in life, but I'm not willing to sacrifice being in jobs that I love and hanging out with people that I enjoy and treat me in a just and fair manner. And some people are willing to sacrifice all those things in order to have those things of the world. And other people aren't. So you learn the lesson. You get to go on a new journey. Your foundation in the world gets to have a new beginning. Why? Because you were inspired to free yourself from your more worldly nature, to see the truth of kind of what manipulated you, and therefore the people in your life that were aligned with you being in your more shadowy nature to some degree because they were in a more shadowy energy to some degree. And they wanted you to stay in that. Keep investing more in your pride and ego. Keep having mental conflict about the truth. Keep moving forward in this job, friendship, or relationship. It's good for your ego and image. It looks victorious and successful. It's not, it's just more being caught up maybe in the illusion of how things look than listening to your intuition that this isn't really more motivated and inspired by truth and love. And if my truth is, that is the type of foundation I want to be in, I need to work through those issues that manipulate me, be willing to detach from the people in my life who want me to be in my more shadow nature. And I need to go invest in the people in the world who are more motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness. Harnessing high vibe, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aries, Virgo, Aquarius, Leo, Gemini, and emotionally Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, and air sign energy of Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, you're more emotionally invested in your truth, in your logic, in your reasoning, in your emotional nature, with your more loving nature. And there was other people in your life who emotionally were more invested in kind of living a little bit more from their mind than their heart and making it more about them or these things of the world. So you get to go on a new adventure. And I think as you're going on that new adventure, there's going to be other people. Some of them will be shadowy. There's always going to be shadowy people who want to be the next person to kind of indulge in a relationship with you. And I think you'll be willing to communicate with people and get to know them. That can be the Six of Wands of the Leo moving forward and the Gemini and Virgo getting to know people. But you're going to maintain balance within yourself. Listen to your intuition about who's being more authentic and truthful and who maybe tries to confuse you about the truth or the truth of who they are. And the people who you think are more on the same page as you are the people you're going to keep investing in. And the people who aren't, you're going to kind of wish them peace and kind of distance yourself from them. And as other people in the world who maybe already went through this ahead of you, they've been sitting here kind of like, when is someone going to come up the path of life that's kind of gone through some of these things that I've gone through too? And then you come along, and that's when we go on this new journey and we quit investing and we just go live our authentic life. And we quit investing our time, energy, and effort more so in people who already know that's not their truth. And that opens us up to meet other people who are kind of on the same page we are, that are looking for people who work together with them in this way. And then they'll be like trying to get to know you to see if you seem, and their intuition tells them that you seem to be authentic and just and fair and stable and grounded, just like you're doing that with them. And you take a leap of faith. What's coming up for people who, and some of you have already moved forward in that. Some of you have already communicated your truth and love to people. Some of those people, you're moving forward with them already. And, you could be at a spot where you're ready to decide, are we going to go to the next phase of life and work through this transition period of the Five of Swords, the Five and the Seven of Swords, to bring it into, to keep moving forward in it. What's coming up for people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius energy that they don't see coming? The Justice card, the Six of Wands, and the Page of Wands, and the reason is because of the Seven of Cups. Well, when people are being a little more shadowy, being a little more defensive or immature or manipulative or prideful or kind of deceptive or manipulative in some way, they're always going to have some high vibe people in their life who are just and fair that would like, in the Six of Wands, to move forward with them. They don't want to be in relationships with other people. They have this dream, kind of in the Seven of Cups, of moving forward and having this new beginning with these people. Whether it's friends or family, come on, let's go. Let's work through, get out of your head, work through those things. Let's move forward. But some of the shadowy people keep saying, no, no, no. No, I want to keep doing this. I think this is just and fair. And they kind of keep repeating this old pattern of whatever it is. Maybe wanting to stay in denial of the truth. Maybe be more immature and self-indulgent. Maybe be more about the world or themselves or ego or image. Because the Seven of Cups is Scorpio energy and in shadow, not really wanting to do more deep, meaningful relationships or grow up or mature themselves. Kind of be more superficial and shallow. And, I don't want to grow up and mature myself. I want to go indulge in these things. This is my happy place. And some of the people in their life are like, oh my gosh, you know? And people can be middle-aged people, and some people are like, oh my God, they are like a child, you know? And some of the high vibe people in their life are like, could be communicating with them that, if you keep thinking this is just and fair, bye, I'm gonna move on. I am no longer caught up in the illusion that you're gonna grow up and mature yourself. I wish you peace. And the people who might keep staying in their life, are people who kind of like living their life that way too. I don't want to have to heal. I don't want to have to put things in perspective. I don't want to look at life from a bigger picture. I might not even believe there is any higher truth or justice to aspire to. I might be all about myself or these things of the world. That's the only game in town. There is no other truth. I'm all about the ego and the image. And for some people, how many people I can deceive and manipulate, it makes me feel powerful. How many people I can get to indulge me. That boosts my ego. Or just looking victorious and successful in the world some way. And that's like the most important thing. And whatever that looking victorious and successful is, look how much I party. Look how many different people I date. Look how much status or power or money or image I have. They're just really, the Seven of Cups can be, they're just really caught up in the illusion of the world. Other people kind of in their fire sign energy, we can all be more caught up in the world for maybe the first 30, 40 years of our life. But eventually, in our fire sign energy, we kind of get more motivated and inspired to probably look at life from a higher perspective. There's more of a purpose to this life than just these things of the world. And part of it can be maybe wanting to leave it in a better place than how you found it, and doing your part to help, even if it's just becoming a more loving and encouraging person to other people in the world, where maybe some people would be like, why would I want to be loving and encouraging to them? They're my competition. I don't care how anybody else does. I want more about me, And some people kind of get inspired to also realize that, maybe I didn't grow to my full potential. I might have indulged in a lot of things. I might have a lot of status, image, or power. But, because eventually you can feel confused. The only thing is, some of the people who've already worked through that maybe just had some more life experience than some other people. And they're have kind of seen the truth that, it's great to have some of these things in my life, but I don't make those things the defining factor in my life. Like, I have to have that, or do that, or be in this, or drink this, or whatever, to be happy, or to define my worth and value. I know my worth and value. And I want to enjoy things of the world. In shadowy energy, it can be these things that can kind of get a stranglehold on us because our ego or our fear or having a certain status or image becomes more important to us than living our authentic truth. And sometimes we don't realize how we lost sight of our own truth along the way because we got so manipulated by our more worldly nature, or what other people thought of us, or blah blah. And they maybe just haven't experienced that yet. And maybe they will eventually, but other people are like, yeah, I've been there, I've done that, I've lived my life like that to some degree or another. And people got to go through their own life experience. I wish you peace. I've already been there and I've already done that. And I'm moving on. And some people never get out of it. I don't know why anybody would live their life any differently, man. This is a blast. And it's like, yeah, I used to maybe think it was a blast too, but, you know, why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I doing it out of love for myself? Am I doing it? Am I feeling proud of myself? Do I feel like I'm acting with character and integrity? Do I feel like I'm being truthful and honest? Do I get in relationships or stay in relationships for reasons other than, is it the indulgence? Is it the ego? Is it something else? We'll leave it at that. I think the justice card can be that, we all kind of reap what we sow. And if they're more motivated and inspired by the illusion, that is what they will manifest because that's what they're putting work and effort into. And I think at some future point in time, they will be kind of confused because they're looking to things other than love. Could be lust, it could be greed, thinking if it's all my way, I'll be happy. And they'll probably put work and effort to manifest that. And then in the Five of Swords, they'll kind of be confused about why it doesn't seem to be everything they would think it should be. It's because they weren't seeing the truth. They were more about themselves and the world than willing to work together with people cooperatively from love. And when you work together with people cooperatively from love, that is a very stable and abundant and nurturing and supportive environment. It's kind of like living in the energy of the sun. And that's where we thrive and grow, is being in those kind of environments. But they could have rejected those type of environments. And then it's kind of like, well, but it has all these things, I should be happy. It's like, well, do you have people who are in relationship with you because they authentically love you and are being truthful and honest, or are you just both being more immature, self-indulgent, manipulative, deceptive, in it for the wrong reasons? We read articles in the newspaper about the rich and famous that are miserable because they kind of got caught up in their ego and think kind of the loving people in their life kind of left, and they thought, I guess, loving people were a dime a dozen, and the people they end up being surrounded by really don't have their best interests, but they want them to keep staying there. It's like, no, 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 let's keep doing this. No, 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 let's keep doing this. No, don't listen to your inner child nature that wants you to love and believe in yourself. No, 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 let's keep maintaining this illusion of how wonderful everything is. And that's where we kind of got deceived by our own shadow nature and other people in shadowy energy who said, no, 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 we should keep doing this. This is just and fair. This is great. Let's keep doing this. Other people saw through the illusion and they saw the truth of kind of their own motivations and the motivations of other people. And they saw it. Can there be love there? Yeah, but shadowy energy is represented by the devil card, the opposite of Capricorn, high vibe. And it looks just like the lover's card, except the people have chains and shackles. It's limiting, it's restricting, it's confining, it's impressive, it's imprisoning. But it looks shiny or glitters and gold, or they indulge you and tell you, to make your life that way. Don't love and believe in yourself and believe in your dreams. Don't let your more authentic nature out. Don't shine your more authentic light. You get hurt out there. Let's keep doing this. And while they keep repeating an old pattern that could look victorious and successful by worldly standards, other people are shining their authentic light, living their authentic life, going on a journey to learn more lessons, and they keep repeating a pattern where there's like nothing new to learn there. Because they've probably already learned all the lessons that they were meant to learn there, but they're unwilling to see the truth of it. They keep thinking it's just and fair. It's just like someone who keeps deciding to be like an 18-year-old all their life. But they see other people moving on and growing and healing and maturing themselves. But they have some fear, or they always give in to their more immature nature, so they keep continuing to live life like an 18-year-old all their life. And they don't kind of understand how other people kind of don't do that. It's like because they offered themselves love to believe in themselves and believe in their dreams, and they didn't keep giving in to their more immature, self-indulgent nature or codependent nature, or letting other people be more manipulative of them. They listened to their own intuition and invested in their truth to believe in themselves and believe in their dreams. And some people are codependent on other people. And if those people are like, oh, we don't want you to be more independent, you should live your life like we live our life, they're more loyal to like that friend group or original family group or whatever, or the world, instead of going and living their more authentic life. And other people saw the truth of it, and they wished them peace, and they moved on. And then, for the people who love living their life like that, they don't understand why other people aren't living their life like that. I don't know what you're doing. You're a fool. You should be doing this. And it's like, no, I already been there and done that, and I didn't care for it. But if you like it, you knock your socks off. I want to go do something different. And maybe one day you might look at life a little differently too, but apparently not yet. And you may never. And I have to accept the truth of that. So I'm going to let go of thinking my dream can come into reality with you, and I'm going to invest in a new dream. So there you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.